won't likely see or feel the impacts of the tariffs until May or June, when the fisheries start for spot prawns, their biggest market in China.
You amplify this trade tension with China with what we're experiencing with our neighbors south of the border, and it's definitely going to be a very complicated year. It's going to be devastating for fishermen.
Nico Prinz with the BC Shellfish Growers Association says some members have already stopped harvesting.
You could sit on your stock and you potentially would be able to sell it on a future date if you develop markets or things change with regards to the tariffs. But cash flow constraint is obviously a big concern for these small businesses.
The province says it's working directly with industry associations and seafood companies now to diversify seafood exports locally, within Canada and overseas. Michelle Morton, CBC News, Vancouver.
The province's forest minister says amid the escalating trade war with the United States, BC will keep sending firefighters south of the border if they're needed. The CBC's Marcella Bernardo has more.
Firefighters don't ask questions. They run into fires.
Ravi Parmar is speaking on a windy day in Merritt. That's where he visited a training facility and took questions about the toll U.S. tariffs are taking on Canada's economy. BC's Minister of Forests says he has no regrets about recently sending several crews to fight devastating wildfires in California.
We have no interest in Canadians becoming the 51st state, but we will always be there to support our neighbors in time of need.
More than 1,700 people have applied for approximately 200 BC Wildfire Service job openings. The 578 applications received in January were the largest ever in a single month. Parmar adds the province is spending more money on year-round mitigation work and wildland firefighting. Marcella Bernardo, CBC News, Kamloops.
BC Ferries is increasing fares by more than 3%. Minor routes will see an increase of $2.50 a person with a vehicle and $8.50 for major routes. Prices for parking and food are also going up. Spokesperson Sonia Lowe says BC Ferries is also expanding its saver fares during off-peak times.
Right now we're facing a challenging operating environment, cost of fuel, vessel maintenance, terminal upgrades. We're just facing a lot of cost pressures, so making these adjustments that have been approved by the BC Ferries Commissioner just will help keep that sustainability within the system and keep our ferries running for now and into the future.
The province's Ferries Commissioner has approved the cost increases. The provincial government has delayed a new program to fund one round of IVF for people trying to have a baby. Katie DeRosa has the details.
For a lot of people that I know that were planning to utilize that funding in April, and now that it's been pushed back again, not surprising, but definitely frustrating.
BC Conservative MLA Claire Ratte says for anyone who is relying on funding to help pay for IVF, news that the province's funding program will be launched in July instead of April is another setback.
I mean, I think it's devastating.
Ratte has struggled to get pregnant, and she says once she's referred to a fertility specialist, she's likely to rely on government funding herself. Health Minister Josie Osborne says it's a new program and took longer than expected to get off the ground.
We recognize that the 3 month delay has added a little bit of anxiety and stress for some people.
People between the age of 18 and 41 will be eligible for funding for one round of IVF, which typically costs between $15,000 and $20,000. Once applications do open in July, it's unclear how long people will wait before the funding comes through. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
A new UBC study shows popular ADHD content circulating on TikTok is inaccurate and has influenced how young adults perceive the disorder. Researchers found of the 100 most viewed TikToks about ADHD, less than half the claims made about symptoms actually align with clinical guidelines. UBC PhD student Basilia Karasava led the study.
I recognize that most of them come from a really good place, that they want to connect with others, maybe they want to share their experiences, make other people feel better. That's wonderful. But words have power, and when you have a platform, you give a certain amount of power, and you have to be a little careful about that.
She says the key takeaway is for users to fact-check information they find online. And the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses says small business confidence in BC has dropped to abysmal levels as the trade war between Canada and the U.S. ramps up. The Federation says its business barometer for BC fell more than 20 points to 26.5. And that's the CBC News from Vancouver.
Thank
Thank you very much, Rob. Hi there. Welcome to On the Coast. I'm Gloria Makarenko, and hello to Radio West listeners who are tuning in from across the province today. Good to have you with us as well. It's a wrap on another Canada Reads. The annual Canadian Book Debate has decided which book all of Canada should read. We're going to talk with host Ali Hassan, get his thoughts on this year's winner. And it's generally believed that people don't remember anything from before the age of 3, but new research from Yale University suggests otherwise. We're going to hear more of that with our science columnist Tora Couture later this half hour. But oh my goodness, the rain is coming down pretty hard here downtown Vancouver. It's gray, it's wet. Some areas of the province are getting some snow flurries tonight, but what are you watching on the traffic front, Steve?
Yeah, and this was supposed to be the first day of spring, apparently. Well, we're likely going to see the rain have some sort of an impact on the roads, especially as it gets busier. Lots of people on the go right now. Very heavy congestion at a lot of the trouble spots that we typically encounter on a Thursday afternoon here in Metro Vancouver. There is a crash eastbound on the Golden Ears Connector. It's blocking one of the lanes at 179th Street. So crews are on scene for this one. We continue expecting some delays in the area for a little bit. Crews will also be working on the Mission Bridge starting at about 8 o'clock tonight until 5 tomorrow morning. The northbound right lane will be the one that's closed. So be prepared for a potential slowdown. Watch out for crews. Just make sure you are accounting for that in your travel plans. There's a stalled truck on 88th Avenue at 140 Street in the eastbound right lane, but no reports of stalls or crashes elsewhere in the province. Major routes outside of Metro Vancouver are actually looking in pretty good shape right about now. I'll have more updates coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you. Well, we'll take a quick look around the province forecast-wise. For the North Coast, Haida-Gwaii, Prince Rupert, inland to Terrace and Smithers, mainly cloudy with showers today and tomorrow. Daytime highs around 6 degrees. In the Northeast, Fort St. John, a chance of rain or flurries tomorrow. Fort Nelson, some light snow today, but you should see a little bit of clearing during the day tomorrow. Back to possible snow tomorrow evening. For Prince George, mix of sun and cloud and a chance of showers, and that same sort of mixed bag is in store for you for tomorrow with highs around 8 degrees. For the southern interior, Kamloops, Kelowna, and the Okanagan, could see showers or flurries in the mix tonight, especially at the higher elevations. Morning showers or wet flurries tomorrow, and then some clear breaks in the day. Now, it's a little unsettled there. Some areas of the Okanagan have a chance of some thunderstorms tonight, and that's the same for the Kootenays as well. Possible showers or wet flurries and the risk of thunderstorms this evening and tomorrow as well. And it's cloudy and rainy here on the south coast. Highs of 10 degrees today. Tomorrow, more clouds and a chance of showers, and that same cloudy showers off and on forecast will be with us through the weekend. Well, another Canada Reads is in the books. This year the theme was One Book to Change the Narrative. And during the debates, 5 high-profile Canadians hashed it out which title they think all Canadians should read. But in the end, only one can come out on top. Spoiler warning for those of you who haven't watched the finale yet. This year's winner was the memoir A Two-Spirit Journey by Mane Chakabe with Mary Louisa Plummer. Comedian and actor Ali Hassan is the host and moderator of the Canada Reads debates. Ali, hello there. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Gloria. Nice to talk to you as always.
Okay, so A Two-Spirit Journey. That is the book that all of Canada should read. What do you think? You've spent the week with this story and beyond.
I was in the trenches watching it all unfold. I will tell you that there was no debate on the fact that it was an important book. Everybody agreed it was an important book, but most did not agree that it belonged on the top mantelpiece as the winner. However, Shayla Stonechild is one of the most prepared, passionate, charming defenders I've seen in quite some time. And not everybody has that. Some of them still want to win, but she really had everything in spades. And then, I think this is a very important point, also kind of unique to this year. This panel was truly invested in genuine listening. Maggie McNeil, pardon me, Olympic the swimmer, changed her vote every day. That's 4 different votes. Michelle Morgan changed her vote. Linwood changed his vote. These were people who were listening, absorbing, processing, and then making decisions on based on the arguments they had heard. And it was, I don't know, it was pretty beautiful to watch. Some people make a decision in January and they're like, I'm voting that book off immediately, and that's what they stick with, and that's not what we had.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I heard some of those thoughtful debates, and you could really tell they were listening and were being swayed by some of the arguments along the way as well. So, what was there a moment or moments that really stood out to you?
Well, today, Linwood, you know, he had sort of a mic drop moment. He just turned 70 today. He's not a mic dropper in the classic sense. I don't think that's his brand, but he did have this moment where he was like, you know, this book, Two-Spirit Journey, and look, this is a guy who has, I think, 25 books to his credit, millions of books sold. He values the craft of writing. That is his thing. He loves beautiful writing. And he had said, this doesn't match up. This doesn't meet his expectations of what a book is. He said, this is not a beach read. This is not what you'd say. This is a great read. But he said, what this is a great document. And he said, I've come to terms with the fact that this is a better document than Dandelion is a book. Dandelion being its competitor today. So that was a huge moment. I mean, that's really something for him to come full circle. And I think, you know, Shayla deserves the bulk of the credit for that, but also Linwood himself deserves some credit for being so open-minded. I think Saeed talking about his personal connections to immigration, his personal stories, I loved every time he did that. It really opened up something new. And there was no notes. This was just him talking off the cuff. It was always great. Michelle Morden spoke about her mother going through dementia. That was beautiful. And also, Saeed has a neuroscientist background. The two of them talking about dementia together, both from, you know, the sadness of it and also the fascination they both have. That'll stay with me for some time.
Well, sure. I mean, in every year, you've got a whole new group of defenders, a different tone, a different energy every year. But it's really interesting to hear Canada Read still going strong after all these years. Why do you think it's got the staying power that it's got?
Because elbows up, Gloria? No, I'm just joking. But I think you just, in your question, you kind of answered it. It truly continues to surprise. You know, if you think back to 2 years ago, we spoke about Ducks. A graphic novel won a literary debate. You know, last year, The Future. It's